conditioner is literally so loud. Hold on. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am starting a new series and I don't know how long it's gonna last or how often I'm gonna upload it, but I wanted to start doing like a drive with me kind of thing so you guys can kind of sit here with me while I go places and talk to me about some hard stuff. And yeah, before we get on with the video, be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat. I will put it all on the screen and I will link it down below for you guys so you can check those out so I can pay my rent. So I don't know how long my phone is gonna stay stable on my speedometer, but we are going to do our best and just kind of, you know, roll with it. We're just going to roll with it. And I'm not going to be looking at the camera because I need to drive and not die. So today we're going to be talking about something that is definitely hard for me to talk about. I don't really talk about this with anybody, literally anyone. It comes up in conversations sometimes very briefly, but other than that, people don't really know this about me, and I try to keep it out of conversations because it makes me feel really like insecure. Like, I know it's so irrational, but it's just like a part of my life and it like takes over. So today we're talking about how I live with emetophobia. For those of you who do not know, emetophobia is the fear of vomit, public vomiting, like yourself vomiting, other people vomiting. For others, it's more extreme. For me, I feel like I have the most extreme case of it that there is, and it sucks. Like, I will be so honest, it's not fun. It's not a good thing. And the crazy thing is, like, it's so irrational too. Like, vomit, come on, like, it's just a bodily function. But it's ever since I've been a little kid, I've just noticed, like, anytime anybody throws up or I feel sick, it like gives me anxiety. So I remember being younger and like in elementary school, when you're a little snothead kid, right? Kids would come to school sick all the time. And there's just so many specific instances in my mind that I can remember of kids like throwing up, and it like, I don't want to say it scarred me because like it didn't, but in a way that like was where I first started noticing my emetophobia, if that makes sense. I think the most vivid story I remember is there was this kid I used to hang out with, and I forget his name, but I remember he was like a Filipino kid, super cool, loved him to death. But he would always talk about how like certain times he was like picky about how he eats. Like if something's too cold, he can't eat it, but he feels sick if he doesn't eat, and basically just talking about that. One day we were at lunch, and I remember this so vividly. There was chicken salad for lunch, right? And he didn't eat it because the chicken was cold. And I was at the table, I was trying to convince him, like, dude, eat the chicken, like, eat. You said you don't feel good when you don't eat. And that was like part of me, like, just trying to be a good friend, like, hey, eat your damn food, whatever. He refuses. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so basically we go in line for to go back to the classroom, and I just hear like the spilling of liquid, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I turn and look, and this kid is throwing up right next to me, and immediately I was like trembling so bad. And not only that, but I start crying, and the teacher like came to me and was like, why are you crying? You're not even the one that threw up. And I don't remember what excuse I made, but just the fact that it freaked me out so much that I was like crying is... Another instance I remember is closer to middle school. I was with my family, and we were going out to eat for Mexican food. We went to La Nopalera, which is a place near where I live. There's a lot of them. And I remember we got salsa, and my little sister just kept eating salsa, whatever, fine. And I don't remember where we were exactly, but we were parked somewhere, and I just remember her saying like, oh, my stomach hurts. And so we got out of the car, and as she got out of the car, she started throwing up, and she was like throwing up into these bushes. And I remember I was wearing a green and white dress, and I was trembling. I had trouble breathing. It was not fun. And I remember my stepdad actually went to me and was like, why are you freaking out so much? Like, it's just, she's fine, she'll be fine when we get home. But like, even the fact of sitting next to somebody who just threw up, like, that shit, it was anxiety. It was pure anxiety. And just ever since a young age, I've always been like deathly afraid of vomit. Like, I would literally rather die than have a stomach bug where I vomit. And that's like a sad thing. Essentially, I don't know if this is how it is with a lot of people, but for me at least, like when I'm sick like that, I associate whatever clothes I was wearing at the time with the instance of vomiting. So I end up getting rid of those clothes because I can't see them without thinking of vomiting. And whatever food I would eat that day, it would register like in my mind like, oh, you can't eat that food anymore because you vomited after eating it, so that's what caused you to vomit. Or just if I'm in certain areas where I felt sick before, anytime I'm in that area, I feel sick. Like, for example, my sister's apartment, one night I was there, I just felt so nauseous. Like, I didn't actually get sick, but now every time I go to her house, I feel nauseous. Like, and in my mind, like, I'm like fine. Like, I've eaten, it's not that I'm hungry or anything, like, everything's fine. And I just get there and my mind tells me that I'm nauseous. And it's just stuff like that happens all the time. And it's rough to live with because I don't try new things anymore, or I don't go out with new people anymore. On the off chance, the 0.0000001% chance that I could eat something and vomit, or get too hot and vomit, or anything like that. Even if there's a possibility of someone being sick and vomiting, like, it hinders my experiences. Things like parties that happen at my own house. Okay, my parents, have friends over, they have cocktails, whatever. I don't drink anymore because I can't even do it without thinking about, like, oh my god, I'm gonna vomit and then the world's gonna end. Or I don't hang out with them when they're over. I just stay in my room because I'm like, well, they're drunk. What if they vomit? What if I have to deal with that? And it's not just me thinking vomit is gross. It's like genuinely the thought creating a panic attack for me. And like, it's hard to live with. It's so hard to live with. And I'm tired of it. And I'm trying to get over it. But it's hard. It's really hard. Things like, on the daily, it gets to the point for me where I don't even know when I'm actually nauseous or if it's just my mind telling me I am. Like, it's so crazy to like think about, because sometimes I'll just be laying in bed and all of a sudden my brain's like, oh, you're nauseous. I don't think I actually am. But in my mind, my brain is telling me, like, take medicine, take ginger, you have to drink sparkling water, you have to get rid of this nausea, you're nauseous. And it's to the point where I shouldn't be, because there's nothing wrong. And I'm tired of having to live that way. Like, some nights I don't even sleep because I'm so afraid of what would happen if I vomited. And most times, like, I've only been sick like that maybe 3 times in my life, but every single time I'm like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I don't know why I'm so afraid, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I do want to spread awareness to it, because I've met a few people in my life who feel the same way I do, and it's like, it's very common actually, but people don't talk about it because it's considered shameful. And I see why, because it's so irrational. Like, you can't control vomit. You can't control what happens when you vomit. You can't control how people react when you vomit. It's like out of your control. And I think that's why it makes me so anxious, because I like to have control over things, and that lack of control is terrifying. And I don't know, man. I don't know how else to really explain it, but yeah, I just want to, like, spread awareness about it, because it's a very real and it's a very trying thing for me. Let's see. It affects the way I view certain things as well. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, for example, let me, like, think. Okay, for example, I have this sweater my mom gave me. It's so cute. I love it so much. But there's a couple stains on it. And the only reason I will not wear that sweater is because the stains are the same exact color of a vomit that my brother threw up like 3 years ago. It shouldn't affect me like this. It shouldn't be like that. But those are the kinds of things it gets in the way of. And that's what people don't understand, I guess. Things like, this is why I only really drink sparkling water. To be completely honest with the world, the only reason pretty much that I have gotten used to sparkling water is because my brain is telling my body constantly that I'm nauseous, even though I'm not. And in order for my peace of mind, I have to do that. That's what I have to do to tell myself that I'm not nauseous. And that's crazy. And it's hard to admit too. It's so hard to admit, and it's so hard to talk about, because no one really knows this about me at all. I don't have sleepovers anymore at people's houses because I'm so afraid of, like, well, what if I wake up in the middle of the night and have to throw up? And even if that possibility is so slim, it still runs through my mind more often than it should. Like, why should that matter? And just, and it affects your eating habits too. Let's be so straight up. Like, I'm not anorexic or anything. I love food. I eat food all the time. But I know, at least for other people, they don't eat because they're like, well, if I don't eat, there's nothing to throw up. And if there's nothing to throw up, then I'm safe. And I want to draw awareness to that part of it too, because it does affect people in that way, even if it doesn't affect me that way. And it should be taken seriously. And it's not just, you don't have emetophobia if you think vomit is gross, because everyone thinks vomit is gross. What people don't understand is, like, it's the heart racing, it's the trembling, it's like full-on anxiety, panic attack around any kind of mention of vomit. I can't watch vomit on TV. If someone says, like, oh, I feel sick, like, it gets to the point where I cannot sit next to that person for a period of time until they can reassure me that they do not feel sick anymore. And it shouldn't be that way. Like, I should be able to be there for people who feel sick and not feel like I need to run away every time, you know? But I really hope that my video could help bring some awareness to emetophobia for people who don't really know much about it. And I hope that maybe if you have it too, you feel a little bit more comfortable now that you know someone else is with you, someone else understands. Give this video a thumbs up if you like the driving videos, because I honestly just like talking to myself in my car, and I feel like this could be something really cool. I can talk about a lot of different things. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my face, because who wouldn't, right? And be sure to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever. I'll link it down below, and it will be on the end card if you want to go and do that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to me rant for 10 minutes straight. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Love you all.